Hello and welcome to today's Power Boost. Today we will be doing some reflection on how do we change the negative into positive. So when there is a circumstance or there is a person who's creating these negative feelings or environment around you, then we actually tend to sometimes resist accepting that negativity. And that is as if the natural tendency for all of us to avoid that situation or that person who is creating this negativity. But when we understand spiritual knowledge in a deep manner, or just even what is called common sense, if we understand that, uh, then we see that actually acceptance of the circumstance or the person as it is in our own best interest and benefit. And spiritual knowledge as if gives us that strength, that power to actually turn that negative into positive. And let us see how that can be done. There is a two aspects to it. There are two aspects to this turning into negative, from negative to positive. The first one is to see the reality of the situation. One can see the reality of the situation when one knows the bigger picture. Our life beyond this physical world gives us that bigger picture, that perspective, the broader perspective. And in that, we see that everything in this temporary physical world is changing, right? And if we see the basic intent of any a person or even nature is to give us the best. It is something that we are not seeing in the right perspective that makes us feel that it is negative. And so, with this spiritual power of knowledge, if one can see the big picture and in that big picture, see the reality of the situation and also the reality of the person that we are interacting with, that will help us turn the negative into positive. And one practice that helps to do this is to see that each person, of course, there is a physical body with associated with the person, and that is what comes to mind currently when we think of a person. The body and the appearance of the person comes to mind, but spirituality is telling us that the real living conscient being is someone who is operating this body, and that living conscient being is actually invisible, subtle, not just invisible and subtle, but they all are very noble beings, the most elevated, beautiful beings, our brothers who can help us in many situations, many circumstances. And so when we come in this awareness of the reality, of the truth of each one, that each one is this being of light, the living conscient being of light, who is noble and who is also loving, worthy of love, worthy of respect. This changes the whole game of negativity and we can turn it into positivity. So that is the first aspect, that we see the big picture of and see the reality, the truth as it is. And the second aspect of turning making this shift from negative to positive is see that whatever it is, right, that person or that person's behavior or the circumstance is actually in my benefit. It is there for me to become my best. So it is so easy to love someone who loves you, right? But the real test and the real love will be tested when somebody who hates you, and you're still able to love them unconditionally, selflessly, and constantly also. So that sort of power also comes with spiritual knowledge and understanding. So the more we see the negativity helping us actually become more positive ourselves, that helps us. Even if we see in our regular lives, everybody, whether in academics or in sports or any field, the best of the best, the champions, right, they are actually the ones who have passed the most difficult tests. And so if we want to be the most positive person around, then we have to be thankful and grateful for these situations and these people in our lives who help us make that jump and become the champions. So let us now spend some time in meditation and see how we can really come into these experiences which turn the negative into positive. So, like always, we just relax our body and make sure that the back is upright, the mind is alert. We take a moment to pay attention to this invisible, subtle being of light, like a tiny star. This tiny star is independent from the body. The tiny star belongs to a completely different world, away from the noise and the beauty of this physical world. Far away in the distance is this most wonderful world of light. In this perfect world of light, there is clarity, and one can experience the true state of oneself and also of others. And that reality is that each one is that tiny point one who's worthy of love, one who's most elevated and also perfect. The one who's worthy of respect. All our brothers, children of the same Supreme Father. And so it is easy to love them, to respect them in their original form. The one who has clarity never mixes the reality of the point of light with the changing, temporary physical world and the role that they play in the physical world. They are two separate things. The one who is clear of the big picture of his life beyond the physical. Never mixes the two lives, and also accepts every situation as it is. He finds himself lucky to have this opportunity and this power to see the best in everyone and everything. His happiness does not depend on anything in the physical realm. He's completely aware of his truth and convinced that all are his brothers who are the most noble beings, angelic in nature. And just this sight and this vision, this awareness, as if changes our attitude and also changes the negative into positive. So we aim for the rest of the day to see the bigger picture, to see the reality of everyone as this point of light, and also to accept everything as being beneficial. To see the calmness that comes from this acceptance. Om Shanti. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead, and see you soon sometime.